You know that old saying, don't judge a book by its cover? It's like, it's literally the first cliche we learn as kids. We all nod along, we agree with it, and then, I mean, 5 minutes later, we see someone in a certain suit or driving a loud car.
Oh, yeah.
And our brain has already written a whole biography for them.
It's just a universal human thing where we're wired to categorize things quickly. It's a survival mechanism. Safe or unsafe, friend or foe.
Right.
And that, unfortunately, bleeds into how we assess people's character, their intelligence even their spiritual depth. We rely on visual shorthand.
Exactly. And I think nowhere is this more true than in, say, spiritual or religious circles. We have this very specific mental image of what a saint looks like.
Absolutely. They're wearing simple robes, maybe a bit worn out.
They look a little gaunt from fasting, and they definitely do not own extensive stuff.
Right, the ascetic archetype. We equate renunciation with poverty. It's a simple equation. If you have things, you must be attached to things.
But what happens when you meet someone who just completely shatters that mold? And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We've got this fascinating stack of sources from the Gadeva Vaishnava tradition. And this isn't just philosophy, it's a narrative, a lila, set in 16th century Bengal. It's basically a head-on collision between a super rigid, by-the-book ascetic and a man who looks, for all the world, like a wealthy, pleasure-seeking aristocrat.
It's a story that really, really challenges our perceptions. We're going to be unpacking the interactions between three key figures: Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's the central figure,
Right, yeah.
then Gadadhar Pandit, who represents the absolute ideal of renunciation, and this mysterious, kind of controversial figure named Pundarik Vitanidhi.
And the mission for this deep dive is, well, it's pretty straightforward, but also really profound. We want to understand why a great saint would suspect another of being a total materialist, the crazy dramatic event that completely shattered that illusion, and the theological lesson underneath it all about what actually makes someone a devotee.
It's all about the danger of judging by appearances. So let's get into the context.
Okay, let's set the scene. We're in Navadvip, ancient Bengal. This place is a huge hub for learning, logic, culture.
Right.
And we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who his followers see as an incarnation of Krishna. And normally, he's the rock. He's the one teaching, leading the chanting, keeping everyone grounded.
Yeah.
But then suddenly the sources say he starts acting strange.
Strange is putting it mildly. Mahaprabhu is usually the source of stability for everyone. But here, he starts showing these intense symptoms of separation. He's crying out.
Calling for someone.
Yeah, he's calling for someone named Pundarik. He's yelling things like, "Oh, my father, oh, my friend." I mean, he is visibly, deeply distraught.
And the other devotees are just standing around completely confused. They've never heard of this guy. They're looking at each other like, who is Pundarik and why is the master calling him father?
Exactly. It creates an immediate mystery. You have Mahaprabhu showing this raw, vulnerable longing, and when the devotees finally ask who this person is, Mahaprabhu gives a description that is, well, it's a total paradox.
It's so confusing. Because on one hand, Mahaprabhu hypes him up like crazy. He says Pundarik's character is wonderful, and that just hearing his name is enough to purify the whole world.
Which is incredibly high praise.
The highest you can get. But then he drops the bomb. He warns them, he says, but when you see him, you won't recognize him.
Because he doesn't fit the mold at all. Mahaprabhu explains that Pundarik dresses and acts like a Vishaya.
And Vishaya is a specific term here, right?
Yeah, it means a person who is addicted to sensory pleasures.
Yeah.
Someone deeply eager for material enjoyment. A materialist.
So he's a great saint who looks like a total playboy.
Essentially, yeah. And there's this one really specific detail the sources mention that just perfectly highlights how misunderstood Pundarik is. It's about his relationship with the Ganges River.
Oh, I loved this detail. So in this tradition, the Ganges isn't just, a river.
Not at all. The Ganges is sacred. She's considered a goddess, basically liquid divinity. The standard religious duty, what every pious person does, is to bathe in the Ganges. It's like religion 101.
But Pundarik refuses to.
Correct. He will not bathe in the Ganges.
Which, to an outsider, must look like he doesn't care. Or like he's arrogant or lazy.
Exactly. But Mahaprabhu explains the internal reason. Pundarik is so respectful of the Ganges as a divine being that he can't bear the thought of touching the holy water with his feet.
Wow.
He feels it would be a huge offense like walking on an altar.
So while everyone else is jumping in thinking they're being super pious, he's staying dry out of an even deeper piety.
Yes. In fact, the sources say he gets visibly upset when he sees other people, gargling, brushing their teeth, or washing their hair in the river. He sees it as polluting the divine. The only thing he does is drink the water before his worship.
That is such a cool detail. It just flips the script entirely on what respect looks like. But Mahaprabhu warns them, right? He says, he's coming soon, but you won't be able to identify him.
Yes. Because of his behavior, you won't be able to identify him as a Vaishnava. And that just perfectly sets the stage for the conflict. The anticipation is built. They're expecting a great soul, but one who wears a disguise of luxury.
So Pundarik arrives in Navadvip, and we have this character, Mukunda Datta. He's a close associate of Mahaprabhu, and he's one of the few who actually knows Pundarik's true nature.
Right.
And he decides, okay, I need to introduce Pundarik to Gadadhar Pandit.
And this pairing is absolutely crucial. To really get the tension, you have to understand who Gadadhar Pandit is.
He's the ascetic.
He is the gold standard of asceticism. He's described as a strict brahmachari, a celibate student, extremely renounced, totally detached from material life.
This is the guy who thinks that if you're serious about God, you don't own soft pillows.
Exactly. So Mukunda brings this super strict monk, to meet the legendary Pundarik. And Gadadhar is probably expecting, I don't know, a sage in a cave.
Or someone emaciated from fasting, but what do they find?
It is quite the scene. A total sensory overload. They walk into Pundarik's quarters, and it looks like the home of a wealthy prince. Pundarik is sitting on a soft white bed.
The text actually says the bedding was like the froth of milk. That's such a vivid image. It just implies this incredible softness and luxury.
Extreme comfort. He's surrounded by expensive brass vessels. He's wearing fine silk clothes. The air is thick with expensive perfumes. His hair is all styled with oil.
And the kicker.
He's smoking from a long pipe hookah.
A hookah. So just try to put yourself in Gadadhar's shoes. You're a strict monk, you walk in to meet a great saint, and he's lounging on a milk foam bed, smelling like cologne, puffing on a hookah.
Yeah, just imagine his internal reaction. The sources say he looks around at all these pleasure objects.
Yeah.
And he just hits a wall. He cannot find a single sign of a Vaishnava in this man.
No visible signs of devotion?
None. No Tulasi beads, no tilak markings mentioned, just pure luxury.
He's judging the book by its very expensive cover.
Precisely. He concludes that Pundarik is a materialist. The source says he loses Shraddha. He loses his respect, his faith. And in this tradition, that's a dangerous thing. It creates what they call a mental offense.
It's relatable, though, isn't it? I mean, if I walked into a spiritual teacher's house and they were, I don't know, playing video games on a giant TV while getting a massage, I'd be pretty skeptical, too. It's a legitimate question.
Of course. It challenges our bias. Gadadhar isn't being malicious. He's just operating on a very specific definition of holiness that Pundarik does not fit. He sees the objects and he assumes attachment to the objects.
So the tension is just thick in the room. Gadadhar is sitting there, probably being polite, but just, internally rolling his eyes.
Right. And Mukunda Datta, the one who arranged the meeting, he notices this.
He picks up on it.
Oh, immediately. He's very perceptive. He sees that Gadadhar is being completely fooled by the costume. So Mukunda decides he has to intervene to reveal Pundarik's true internal state.
But he doesn't start an argument. He doesn't say, hey, Gadadhar, stop being so judgmental.
No, that would never work. Arguments rarely change how people feel. Instead, he uses sound. He decides to recite 2 specific verses, or shlokas, from the scriptures.
And these verses are about Krishna's mercy.
The glories of Krishna's mercy. And they're the catalyst for everything that happens next.
Okay, so let's unpack these verses. What's the story they tell?
The verses recount the story of Putana. For anyone who doesn't know, Putana was a demoness. She was sent to kill baby Krishna. But she disguised herself as a beautiful, loving, motherly figure.
Another disguise. That's the theme of the day.
Exactly. She smeared a deadly poison on her breast and then offered it to baby Krishna to suckle. Her intent was murder.
Pretty dark.
Very. But the verse explains what happened. Krishna, being divine, he sucked out the milk, the poison, and her very life air. So she died. But here's the theological twist.
Okay.
Because she acted like a mother, even with evil intent, Krishna gave her the destination of a mother or a nurse in the spiritual world after she died.
So even though she was trying to kill him, he treated her like a mom.
He accepted her service, even with the bad intent. And the punchline of the verse, the part Mukunda really emphasizes, translates to, who's more merciful than him? Who else should we take shelter of? The Sanskrit is Ahobakyam Stanakalikutam.
Who is more merciful than him? So Mukunda just drops this idea of extreme illogical mercy into the room. What happens to our hookah smoking friend?
The reaction is, it's instantaneous, and it's violent. The moment those words hit Pundurik's ears, the whole facade just explodes.
Describe it. I mean, does he just start crying?
It is way beyond crying. He cries out, "Ha, Krishna!" The sources say he falls to the ground in a faint and a trance. But it's not a peaceful swoon. In his ecstasy, his body starts convulsing with spiritual emotion.
And the room gets trashed, right?
Completely trashed. In his flailing, he kicks over the hookah. He tears apart that luxurious milk froth bed. He rips his expensive silk clothes. All the items that Gadadhar thought defined it.
Symbols of his materialism.
They are literally destroyed by his devotion.
Wow. So the hookah goes flying, the bed is in shreds, he's rolling on the floor crying out for Krishna.
Yes. The source calls this Ashtasattvika, the eightfold spiritual transformations. Trembling, perspiration, fainting, hair standing on end. It's considered the highest symptom of pure ecstasy. It's totally uncontrollable.
And Gadadhar is just watching this. The guy he thought was a poser is now showing the highest level of spiritual emotion he has ever seen.
Gadadhar is stunned. The text says he is terrified.
Terrified? Why terrified?
Terrified by his own misjudgment. He realizes in that moment that he just committed a serious offense in his heart. He looked at a Paramahamsa, the supreme swan-like saint, and thought he was just some regular guy.
It's a total reversal.
A complete reversal. The materialist destroys his own material goods in ecstasy, and the renunciate realizes his own renunciation had made him proud, made him arrogant. Gadadhar feels this immediate, deep remorse.
He realizes the luxury was a cover.
Yes, it was a shield to hide his devotion and keep people away, which is the opposite of most people who wear spirituality as a shield to get respect.
Right.
Yeah.
So Gadadhar is standing there in the wreckage of the bedroom. He feels awful. What does he do? How do you even begin to fix a mistake like that?
He asks Mukunda. He says, I have committed an offense against this great soul. What can I do? How can I atone?
And what's the solution?
The resolution is, it's pretty dramatic, Gadadhar decides the only way to counteract the offense is to become Pundurik's disciple. He wants to take Diksha, initiation, from him.
Whoa. So he goes from, I have zero respect for this guy, to, I want him to be my guru in, what, 5 minutes?
Yes. It is the ultimate act of humility. By accepting Pundurik as his spiritual master, he's acknowledging his superior position. It completely negates the arrogance.
And does Pundurik accept?
He does, happily. And later, we learn that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives his full consent as well. So the strict ascetic becomes the student of the hidden mystic.
Okay, let's pivot to the why. You mentioned hidden identities. The sources call this a Leela, a divine play.
All right, this is where we get into the really deep theology. According to the Gaudiya tradition, these people, these associates of Mahaprabhu, they aren't ordinary humans. They're eternal spiritual beings playing roles.
Okay, so who are they really?
The source identifies Pundurik Vidhanidhi as King Vrishabhanu.
Vrishabhanu. Isn't that Radharani's father in the Krishna story?
Correct. Radharani is the female counterpart to Krishna, the supreme goddess of devotion. And Vrishabhanu, a wealthy king, is her father.
And Gadadhar Pandit?
Gadadhar Pandit is considered to be the incarnation of Radharani herself.
Wait, hold on. Let me wrap my head around this. Gadadhar is Radharani, and Pundurik is her father, Vrishabhanu.
That's right.
So when Gadadhar, the daughter, judges Pundurik, the father, and it explains why Mahaprabhu was crying out father at the very beginning.
Exactly. Mahaprabhu is often in the mood of Radharani, so when he cries father, he is recognizing Pundurik as Vrishabhanu.
That connects all the dots. And there's another connection too, right? A lineage one.
Yes. Pundurik is a disciple of a great saint named Madhavendra Puri. And Mahaprabhu's own guru, Ishvara Puri, was also a disciple of Madhavendra Puri.
So that makes them god brothers.
Right. And in that culture, your guru's godbrother is to be respected just like a father. So historically and theologically, Pundurik commands immense respect.
But the source says Gadadhar acted the part of being fooled. Why would he do that? If he's an eternal associate, he should know better.
And that's the Leela aspect. The source really emphasizes that Gadadhar didn't actually lack knowledge. He played the role of the judgmental ascetic to teach us, humanity, a lesson.
It was a setup.
A divine setup. The logic is, if even Gadadhar Pandit, who is the incarnation of Radharani, the most advanced devotee, can appear to be confused by externals, then who are we to judge anyone?
That brings us right to the core takeaway. The source quotes a Bengali phrase, Vaishnava chini hete nari deva.
Yes. It translates to, even the gods cannot recognize a true Vaishnava.
That's a really humbling thought. I mean, you could be standing next to the most advanced spiritual person in the world at the grocery store, and you'd have no idea because they're buying frozen pizza.
Or smoking a hookah. The lesson is that spiritual status is entirely internal. It's a state of consciousness, not a wardrobe choice.
The source actually has some pretty strong words for people who judge like that.
It does. It says that assuming you can figure out someone's spiritual standing based on wealth versus poverty or luxury versus austerity is the mark of a childish intellect. It's a warning that a Paramahamsa, the highest saint, can be anywhere, in any disguise.
So Pundarik teaches us that you can be surrounded by luxury and be completely detached. The luxury didn't own him.
Right. The moment he heard Krishna's name, all those things were just junk to be kicked away.
And Gadadhar teaches us that you can look like the perfect renunciate, but still have pride hiding inside.
Which is often a much harder trap to escape than luxury. Spiritual pride can be very, very sticky.
We've covered the mysterious arrival, the clash of styles, the explosive transformation, the deep theological identities. It's amazing how much is packed into this one meeting.
It really is a masterclass in spiritual caution. It just teaches us to be so careful about making these quick assessments of other people.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm just thinking about that initial image, the aristocrat and the monk. It's such a perfect subversion of what we expect. It forces you to check your own biases.
It is. And it's a reminder that in this tradition, the internal mood, the bhav, is everything. The rest is just details.
So here's a thought to leave you with. We all have people in our lives, coworkers, neighbors, family, that we've mentally filed away as materialistic or superficial or, they just don't get it. We look at their car or their clothes and we write their spiritual biography in our heads.
We all do it.
But if even a divine associate like Gadadhar Pandit had to play the role of someone being fooled by appearances, how many people in your own life are you misjudging right now? Who is the Pundarik Vihanidi in your world that you're just dismissing because they don't fit your mental image of what wisdom is supposed to look like?
That is the question.
Yeah.
We might be really surprised by who the most advanced person in the room actually is.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Thank you.
Catch you on the next one.